What's up, everybody? We're back. It took a little bit of a hiatus from the podcast. However, we've been trying to post more on the YouTube. But we're back with Hammer Time, and we have a very special guest. If you follow the YouTube, y'all have seen him. Y'all love him. Mr. Kyle Anderson. Kyle, how we doing, buddy?
Oh, doing good, hanging in there. Nothing crazy going on in life. Just honestly, I don't even have I don't have anything crazy to say at all. Just kind of just chilling right now.
Yes, sir. I hear that. So, Kyle, you've been on the YouTube a few times.
Yes, sir.
I think you've been the most guests that I've had on the YouTube, other than my roommate.
I've been on there twice. I know for
Yeah,
sure.
and Rob's been on there about twice, and he's done the behind the scenes stuff of the camera.
Yeah,
So he's been on there a few times.
yeah.
But Kyle, just kind of give us an update on, you're at Metro still, right?
Yep. Still
You're
at
going into
Metro.
what year are you going into?
I'm going into my senior year. So I got one semester of classes left, and then my whole so it's just me my fall semester. And then my spring semester, it's going to be my internship. Still to be determined where that's going to be. But last time, if anyone remembers it, hopefully it's going to be with the Avalanche. But keeping the Nuggets and the Rockies and Broncos as secondary options.
So you've been speaking with, and we're going to talk sports more, once
Yeah.
we kind of get going. But you've been speaking with the other franchises in Denver.
No, I haven't really been like speaking yet because I'm still
Okay.
a ways out because a lot of the fall kids are doing their internship now, fall semester kids. So I really haven't been doing much talking. I just got into a mentorship program, and I'm with the marketing manager of Baden Sports for the team sports segment. And if any of you don't know what Baden Sports is, Baden is one of the largest equipment manufacturers in the United States for sports equipment. So I am now in a mentorship that goes until about mid-October with their marketing manager for the team sports. So I could potentially have that as an option for the internship coming up. I do know the executive vice president of partnership marketing and media sales for the Avalanche. So that's kind of why that's one of my top options. And especially just being a big Avs fan and just kind of what the team is, it's just a lot of fun to watch. And, it's a winning culture. So it's something I want to be a part of. And then, keeping the Rockies, Nuggets, and Broncos all as options too, being here in Denver.
Yeah, so if you had to rank in order the next three options after the Avalanche between the Rockies, Broncos, and Nuggets, how are you ranking them?
I would have to go probably Rockies at 2, Nuggets at 3, and then Broncos at 4. Just because baseball's been a big part of my life, my whole life.
Mhm.
I'm coaching baseball now. Just finished up with 10U in the spring here. Fall ball starts here next week. Same team. We're rebranding though because we're become a AAA travel team.
Okay.
And so that's good. That's going to kind of start up in the fall. We're going to play some games to kind of see how the team is, and then we're going to hold a big tryout in the winter because we have so many kids who want to play for our head coach and me. Just with what the culture's like is what the parents of a lot of us said, and how we run our teams, or how we run the team. So we are going to be doing a AAA team, and then we're even considering doing a AA team, almost like a farm team,
Mm-hmm.
just because we have so much interest in the team and the amount of kids wanting to play. There's like 50 kids who want to be on our team
Mm-hmm.
come this spring for travel ball.
And Kyle, it's a very different world when it comes to travel ball in the
Oh
metro
yeah,
area compared to you and I growing up in the Junction area.
yeah, for
You
sure.
had a lot of teams, you had a lot of kids that want to play travel ball, but you also had enough teams that you could kind of distribute,
You could
teams
try
to.
out for
Yeah,
multiple teams and kind of have your pick of who you wanted to play for. Um,
exactly.
but no, we're gonna try and shoot for 3 tournaments for sure in the spring. We're gonna do Steamboat. Steamboat
Steamboat's a
Springs
good
is
one.
their AAA tournament. We're gonna do the Western Slope Walk Off,
Yep.
which is right around the time of JUCO, and then we are gonna do Omaha right during the College World
Oh,
Series. Yeah,
okay.
650 teams,
Yeah, yeah.
right around the College World Series. So that's what we're gonna be doing. There's those 3 tournaments for sure. 11U, and then probably trying to work in some more.
Yeah, and then you and I obviously having, experience in the walk-off ourselves,
Yeah,
both of us being Junction guys playing in that Mesa County area. So we definitely have our experience of the water.
Yeah, we do. And I'm pretty sure it's a lot of the times it is like a Junction team that does end up winning it.
Yeah.
But it's cool for like these kids. The team I coach is out of Parker, Colorado, so southeast Denver, and it's cool just to get them to experience other teams across the state, not just playing Denver teams or not just playing league teams, stuff like that. And that's kind of why we want to do it. Is a lot of these kids have never really played travel ball before. We're a brand new team.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of under the idea like there's going to be Rocky points. But that's what we want to do as coaches, always get them the experience and get them to the point where it's like they're having a blast playing AAA ball, creating those memories, the traveling, getting kicked out of the hotel pools, knock ditching people at midnight. Just those memories that they're going to have the rest of their life. That's ultimately what we want to do, is just create memories for these kids and make them better ball players.
No doubt. And, Kyle, 10U is about when I started playing travel ball myself. So, I mean, your guys are starting them off pretty quick, pretty early like you want to. And
yeah, for sure. We have some studs on the team who will be able to compete. When we were in our league tournament, we ended up taking third in the spring. When we were in our it was the semifinals of the losers bracket, we had a kid through 6 innings. He threw 66 pitches and allowed only 1 hit.
That's efficient.
And he wasn't even our starting. Yeah, he wasn't even our starting pitcher for the year. But he worked his way to our number 1, and we had a kid who was very similar to him as well. So we had a good 1-2 punch with those 2 kids. But just the word of our team has become so popular amongst their friends and parents talking about it, kids watching us play, wanting to join our team, that we have so much interest in our team. We're gonna be holding the tryout. And like I said, like a double and AAA team, just so we can, have like that culture and start to build that culture of, we're naming her the Parker Knights is team.
There you go. Yeah. And, I mean, travel ball, it's a popular thing nowadays. I mean, that's a lot of recruiting comes out of travel ball. I understand, recruiting probably isn't something in any of your kids' mind right now because they're so young.
But we can tell right now with some of our kids, like this is a kid we might be watching play every single day at some point. And so, obviously, we're not even doing anything crazy with them because we don't want to destroy their bodies. We're not even teaching them off-speed pitches, nothing like that. We're slowly starting to work them into bands, but that's it. Just for stretching and, poly, stuff like that. But we're not even really putting anyone really in the weight room yet, unless they're a big enough body. And even then it's nothing crazy at all.
No.
Excuse me. But we don't want to hurt these kids. We don't want to destroy their bodies at a young age, because ultimately that's what happens to a lot of kids is, they throw their arms out or they, give themselves shoulder injuries by the age of 14, 15, 16. And, that ruins any chance they have a plan at the next level.
Exactly. And, the other thing is that at the age of 10, especially, off speed isn't really a thing. You kind of start to see it more at the age of 11, 12. You start to see change-ups, and then you hit that freshman year of high school mark, and that's when you start to see the sliders, the curveballs, the splits, the whatever you might see. And then in the weight room, it's the same thing. You really don't see a lot of, some kids do start early. They just naturally start early, and that's cool.
Yeah, and it depends on everyone's body. It's like I'm not going to put a kid who's, 5'6", 110 pounds in the weight room. But when I have a kid who's, 5'8", 160 on the team, that's someone you could consider putting in the weight room, lightweight, higher reps, but nothing you're going to overwork your body. And obviously you're going to have someone with them who's been in the weight room before.
Yeah, and then you got conditioning. You got to condition. Baseball,
That's where my coach, our head coach, and I butt heads throughout the year is he was like, no, we don't need to run them, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, we do.
We do. Yeah,
they need to start running for sure.
Conditioning is a big part of baseball. A lot of people don't realize that, but, the lactic acid of the arms. And
poles.
Not only that, but just at the end of you play a 9-inning game, whichever team is most conditioned is going to be less tired at the end of that 9-inning game.
No, for sure. Yeah. And especially, needing to leg out a double or a triple, something like that. That's the difference between a team that's going to, that wants to compete is going to win, or a team that's just showing up.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, now that we're kind of caught up on your life and where you're at nowadays, let's get right into the itinerary that you and I had talking about.
For sure.
Let's start with NFL contracts. Today, we're going to talk sports. This is strictly sports after this segment. Everything is sports from here on out, folks. So we're going to talk NFL contracts. Today, Justin Herbert signed a 5-year, I believe, $262.5 million extension.
Yeah, something like
LA
that. And then I
Chargers.
think it's in 2025. He's got like 100 some odd million guaranteed for sure.
Yeah. And that makes him now the highest paid quarterback above Lamar, above Jalen,
Above Mahomes.
above Mahomes. Which QB do you see getting that next contract that's going to be the next highest paid QB in your opinion?
I mean, honestly, like you can't count out like Josh Allen.
Mhm.
If you look through each division, you don't see anyone besides Mahomes and Herbert getting it in the AFC West. AFC South dumpster fire division. You could consider Lawrence, but it's going to depend on his play. Like he's a hell of a quarterback. He's a stud.
Yeah.
But if that team, like if they can, make the playoffs, but then just lose first year or like not make the playoffs, I don't think you're going to see a massive contract out of him. You'll see an extension, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. You look in the East. You have Josh Allen, of course. Like that's someone like I said, like you have to consider.
Aaron Rodgers, he just got paid.
He just got paid, but you're not going to see another massive contract out of him. He's too old.
Mac Jones,
no. Maybe Tua, I doubt it, just because
Tua.
of the way
The thing with Tua's got to stay healthy, man. I mean,
yeah, no, it's
honestly the one that comes, the one that comes to mind for me has got to be Joe Burrow. I mean, Lamar.
That's what I was about to get to is Joe Burrow, 100%.
You know, you look at the North. Kenny Pickett, he's got to prove a lot next year.
He's got to prove a lot.
And then you got Lamar. He just got paid, obviously.
He's paid.
And then
Deshaun Watson, he got paid. And then you look at it's the only. I think you give it a few years though, and you're going to see some big contracts. You'll have to see how like Will Levis does in Tennessee. We'll have to see how Anthony Richardson does in Indianapolis. Texans fan, being a Texans fan, you're going to have to see how CJ Stroud does. But then you look at the rest of the league, it's like the NFC South, not really anyone I feel like soon. Bryce Young, maybe, but a few years. The West, no one. Maybe Purdy, depending on how he plays.
Yeah.
After what we saw last year, but he's still in a rookie contract.
I want to go back real quick. Will Levis in Tennessee. Do you think he starts over Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill?
I don't think you're going to see him starting week 1. I think you're going to see Ryan Tannehill starting week 1. But there's no doubt in my mind that that's a quarterback battle. The minute, like, we're in a quarterback battle with that room right now. I saw something, I think it was on Twitter, DeAndre Hopkins, who just signed there. He has more than double the entire wide receiver room combined and receiving touchdowns for his career.
And that's including their head coach.
His head coach, number two on the list.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of, and, D-Hop, you're a big Texans guy. D-Hop was one of your guys.
And honestly, like, there was part of me that was, thinking he was going to re-sign in Houston because I kept seeing, like, posts on Instagram where he was in Houston. I know he loves the area. So I wasn't sure, and especially with the new culture that DeMeco Ryans brought in, a lot of people wanting to come to Houston. I wasn't sure if he was considering signing in Houston. Looks like he went to Tennessee. Do I know why? Absolutely not. But that team, like I said, Jacksonville's clearly going to win that division. And then it's going to be a battle for second, third, and fourth amongst, amongst DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry, the Colts and the Texans. Yeah. It's going to be a battle for it. And I think that those three teams come within, 2 games of each other, 3 games of each other. Someone's going to be, 9-8. Yep. Someone's going to be 8-9, and then someone's going to be 7-10. Like that's how close it's going to be between those 3 teams.
Yeah. And you alliterated to it. That division is just insanely a dumpster fire. I mean,
it's so bad.
and I'm not sitting here bashing your Texans,
Oh, I know they're bad.
but I mean, and they made some moves on draft night though,
They did.
trading
Was
up for
I?
number 2 to go get, or number 3 was it, right?
Yeah. Was
And
I
went
a
and got
fan?
Will Anderson.
Was I a fan of it? I mean, at the time, yes, but at the same time, I would have rather have sat back a little bit more. Maybe I know Will Anderson was probably gonna be the next pick off the board, but there were some dogs in the draft at the edge position.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like we didn't have to go all the way up at 2. I know Will Anderson was clearly their guy, but we didn't have to jump to 3. There was other guys in that draft.
Mm-hmm.
We need depth at receiver. Um, we have some guys. We got Mechie back. Nico Collins. He's shown himself.
And Mechie, I think Mechie's gonna have a big year.
He is. We
John
got
Mechie,
Robert.
I think he'll definitely have a big year.
Got Robert Woods. I mean, I know he's been in the league forever, but that's veteran presence in the receiver room.
Yep.
Running backs, Damian Pierce, who breaking tackle machine, physical runner.
Oh, yeah.
And then Devin Singletary, good receiving, quick back. So that's a 1-2 punch there.
Offensive
line, Dalton Schultz coming in at tight end. The offensive line getting a little bit of a boost. We saw last year, we saw Petrie at safety. He showed himself as a rookie. Stingley, we got him at corner, signed a couple corners this offseason, couple linebackers. So I think the team's going to be able to compete for sure. But it's still not going to be, I think it's still going to be a below a 500 season.
Yeah.
I think if I had to put it right now, I think they finish 6-11 or 7-10.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with 6 games coming in the South.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's going to be a fun season to watch. I'm excited to watch it, see how Stroud does. I think we'll see CJ Stroud starting. He'll beat out Davis Mills and Case Keenum for sure. But
yeah, I think CJ Stroud, in my opinion, and I had said this, you and I, we speak obviously quite often, and I told you this before the draft. I felt like CJ Stroud was the best quarterback in this draft.
No, I think he is for sure. And it's not, everyone's saying, oh, like his football IQ test score, blah, blah, blah. You got an 18 or you got a super low score. That's not going to determine, that's a pen and paper test, right? That's not going to determine what he sees standing in there in a pocket. Obviously, he's not going to make stupid decisions when he's standing in a pocket. He's going to do the best decision to make his team win. Yep. I think Bryce Young's too small. He can't. His offensive line is twice the size he is. Mm-hmm. Anthony Richardson, in my eyes, he's built. He's a good quarterback, but the way his body is, I feel like he's built more like a receiver.
Reminds me of a lot of Cam Newton out of Auburn. That's who he reminds me of.
And I think he's going to come into the league. He's going to have, this first year might be a little rocky, but once he gets himself established, he'll become a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. But then he's going to have to find a way to stay established.
The other thing with Anthony Richardson, a lot of people, and this was a main talked about topic with Anthony Richardson, he only started 1 season at Florida.
And that's why I don't feel like it was right. I mean, yeah, like he declared for the draft. I think he should have done another year at Florida.
I agree.
Especially with how everyone talked to him. I know there's always the risk of injury, stuff like that. But he could have easily been the number 1 pick overall next year. Yeah. If he would have stayed at Florida, shown who he is as a quarterback, because you didn't get to see much on him as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And there was games where he was good, and then there was games where someone else was coming in by the end of the first quarter.
Yeah. And Will Levis, I have a lot of upside for Will Levis. I like Will Levis. I saw him at Kentucky, saw him at Penn State.
I did too, yeah. But I think clearly there's something that the public or whatever, we don't know, that caused him to go in the second round.
Yeah, and he slid all the way to Tennessee, who took Malik Willis really, really late last year, 6th round. And Ryan Tannehill, definitely, you're seeing the end of Ryan Tannehill, but still, sure, I think Will Levis
in my eyes, it's like, what's the Tennessee draft room doing that's causing them to take quarterbacks in back-to-back years? Does that say that Malik Willis wasn't their guy? Did they not think he was going to be who we think we didn't think that's who he was? So, is Will Levis going to be there? I do see a lot of, Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis. I feel like they have very similar play styles for sure. And so that's an easy transition to quarterback. You have Ryan Tannehill, who's, he can be mobile. He can throw the deep ball, kind of lacks in accuracy. Will Levis, I feel like the exact same way. He can scramble if needed. He's a bigger guy. So I think you're going to see Malik Willis at number 3 on the depth chart. You're going to see Levis at 2, and then you're going to see Ryan Tannehill start this year. But don't be surprised if by week 4, Will Levis is the starter.
Yeah, Will Levis, I've said this. This will be the last thing I say about Will Levis, and then we'll go to some of the running back things that have been happening. Will Levis, reminds me a lot of Peyton and Eli, kind of a mixture of the two quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Eli and Peyton, they weren't very mobile, but Peyton had accuracy, whereas Eli had accuracy towards the end of his career, but when he first started out, neither one of them had accuracy to save their life as good as, per se, some of the other guys that went in that draft that year. Yeah. So let's go to running backs. Saquon signs for 1 year, $11 million.
Dalvin Cook's still out. Josh Jacobs still
out there. Yep. Nyheim Hines, he's injured now in Buffalo. Does Dalvin Cook, go to Buffalo? I'm not sure. In your eyes, obviously, Buffalo's on the table now when Nyheim Hines hurt. Miami's been on the table.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the other teams that have been in contact with Dalvin Cook. Do you see where do you see Dalvin Cook ending up, or where's the best fit?
Honestly, is like, I hate to say it, but like, I'm honestly not a fan of like the running back position right now. With how the game is evolving and what the quarterback style of play has become, it honestly seems kind of useless in my eyes to have a running back at times. And I think it depends on your quarterback. So let's say like the Rams, for example, like Matt Stafford, like obviously you want to have a running back behind him. He's not a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
Ravens, on the other hand, Lamar Jackson. Why would you want to put a running back behind Lamar Jackson? Yeah, I can throw other offenses and stuff off, but you have a running back at quarterback,
and I think that, and I listen to a lot of sports talk shows, and they sit there and they talk about, well, the running back position's kind of going away.
Exactly.
There is no dominant running back anymore in the league.
No, there's really not. And why, like, for example, like, why wouldn't you just put, if you're going to get rid of the running back position, put 2 fullbacks back there, put 2 tight ends back there, and, that's 2 extra blockers for your quarterback. When, that quarterback can then turn into a running back, or they can throw the ball.
Yeah, and then, the Jets, that was another one that had been in contact. I think Breece Hall is going to come back. I think Breece Hall is going to be okay.
I think if you have to pick a team for him to sign, though, like, why not go to Buffalo? Like, his brother's there. It's a team that, can win. And, just adding just the thought of Dalvin Cook into another team's mind that's in the backfield with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, all them, plus that defense they have up there. That's a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. And, they can compete for a Super Bowl every year, but you add the piece of Dalvin Cook in there. And, that's a chance. That's probably an AFC championship team right there playing against either Kansas City or Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I think Buffalo's right up there, or Miami too. That takes a lot of pressure off of Tua having to scramble out, bootleg, and then you still take – so now you have Tyreek Hill, Mike Gesicki – or no, he's gone. Gesicki's gone, right?
He's in New England.
Gesicki's gone. You're right. So it doesn't matter. You still have Tyreek Hill and freaking Jalen Waddle. You add Dalvin Cook. Okay, we can't stack the box to stop the run because we got these 2 guys now one-on-one, but we can't go zone because now we got Dalvin Cook that can run.
Exactly.
And it takes a ton of pressure off of Tua, especially since how we were just talking about Tua being injured a lot.
Yeah, but Tua's still, I think Tua's a really good quarterback for sure, but I think he's still got a lot to learn, and he still can see that immaturity for the league come into him at some point. I can't remember how many times I was watching Red Zone or something last year, and they show a highlight where he's got receivers wide open, but instead he chooses to just run the ball. And, I think Miami likes to play really like a West Coast style, even though if they haven't branded themselves as that, especially having Waddle, Tyreek, Tua, 3, very quick guys.
And Mike McDaniel comes from that Shanahan coaching.
Exactly. But I think you could put Dalvin down in Miami, but I think he's a better fit up in Buffalo, especially the weather Buffalo experiences some of the time is when it's a blizzard outside, you can't be throwing the ball. You have to ground and pound. In Miami, when it's 75 and sunny all the time, you don't necessarily need to do that. You could put any back in that system and they flourish. Like you could put a Singletary in there. I forget who they have right now at running back, but you could put any back in there and they would flourish in Miami's system. I feel like because Miami's not really as much of a running the ball team. They're more of an airmail offense, West Coast style.
Yep.
And you don't need to put a Dalvin Cook ground and pound back in there.
Yep. And I think a lot of, this will be the last thing I say. A lot more running backs now, you got to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. And Dalvin Cook can do that. CMC, Austin Eckler, those guys, they can catch the ball out of the backfield. That's why they have a team. That's why you see guys like Ezekiel Elliott. He's not going to sign.
No,
Ezekiel Elliott will not sign this offseason.
I know. Is his career done or what?
I don't think so. I think there's going to be a team that's going to use him as like a goal for a while. Back. Yeah, goal line, for a while.
Like a Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, Jerome Bettis. CJ Anderson was used like that in the Super Bowl 50 run for the Broncos, So I could see something like that, definitely. And then, that Zoom call, the Zoom call, for those of you that don't know what's going on, there was a Zoom call between running backs. I believe it was CMC, Christian McCaffrey, who is CMC, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Austin Eckler, and a few other running backs. Dalvin Cook, I think, was involved in that call. There's a few other backs involved in that call, and they just kind of are trying to figure out, basically, are we going to go on strike because running backs are not getting paid?
Well, and like Isaiah Pacheco, he's stuck in a rookie contract until I think it's 2025, 2026.
Well, and the running backs want to get paid because running backs are like cars. You drive them off the lot and their value goes way down because they get hit so much running the football that they are like their value degrades after year 2, maybe even year 1, depending on who your back is.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's switch gears from football, the gridiron, to the diamond. MLB trade deadline. Obviously, there's a major piece that we'll talk about. We're going to save that for later because that major piece is going to need a lot of talking.
Oh.
Other than the major piece, Shohei Ohtani is the major piece I'm speaking of. Kyle, where do you see what moves, what players what organizations need to make a move and we could see making a move?
I've seen on Twitter the Reds want to bring in young starting pitching who can compete right now. They're willing to deal players like Jonathan India, some of their farm system to bring in young starting pitching right now. The Reds are a big surprise to everyone this year, and no doubt. And I think they're a playoff team for sure, unless something happens. So I think you see the Reds make a move. There's a battle right now between the Rays and the Orioles for top of the AL East, and honestly, the number 1 seed overall in the AL.
Yeah.
I think you could see the Orioles bring in some starting pitching, and then maybe just a couple depth pieces, kind of like utility players that can kind of play any position. They're still a very young team, but I think you could see them bringing in a power bat. There's no true power bat on that team. There's, like Santander, Gunnar Henderson can put the ball out of the yard. Adley Rutschman can put the ball out of the yard. But I think you could see the Orioles bringing in a power bat for sure. And some pitching, whether that's another piece of the bullpen to go along with Batista or Cano, or, just another piece for their rotation. The Rays, I think the Rays are a solid team, maybe some relief. But everywhere you look in the field, I feel like they're pretty solid. It's just a matter of finding, that groove they had at the start of the year and getting back to that. And that's a team that no one can beat.
Let's go to the Orioles because there was something that I had heard. I don't know if you had heard it being a Rockies guy yourself. There was a name out of Colorado that was thrown around that I think would be a perfect fit in Baltimore. Veteran presence, big power bat, CJ Cron.
Yeah.
I think you could see CJ Cron on the move. Cody Bellinger's a name that's been thrown around. I don't think Bellinger will end up in Baltimore.
No, I think you'll see Belly move.
Though.
You'll see Belly get moved. Clearly, the Rockies are selling at the deadline. The Cardinals are selling at the deadline. I mean, do we see a blockbuster move and see like a Goldschmidt or an Arenado get moved? Probably not.
I don't think so.
But the Cardinals said they're willing to sell. And if the price is right, they're willing to sell anyone.
Yeah.
The Rockies sell the team. Jesus.
Yeah. Don't even get us going about that right now. Oh, yeah.
Lord. But honestly, it's like I wouldn't care if Chris Bryant got moved. I would honestly, if I see, I would hate to see CJ Cron get moved because I've become a big CJ Cron fan.
Yeah, I think a lot of Colorado fans have.
You're not gonna see any of the young guys get traded like Nolan Jones, Brent Doyle, Trejo, any of them. You're not. I bet you a sleeper you could see him get moved. One name I feel like might get moved for the Rockies at the deadline that no one's talking about is Elias Diaz.
Yeah, that one. The only thing is the Rockies have never really had a consistent starting catcher.
Exactly. Besides him. So I think it would come with a little bit of a price. But once again, if the price is right, I think you could see Elias Diaz moved at the deadline. Cron moved at the deadline. I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw Ryan McMahon moved at the deadline.
Yeah, Ryan Mac wouldn't surprise me at all, to be honest with you. I think, the Rockies front office, they like Nolan Jones, but they also like Ryan McMahon. But we also have Brendan Rodgers, who's rehabbing in Albuquerque right now. He's going to probably spend the rest of the year in Albuquerque, AAA Albuquerque.
Got moved.
I wouldn't either. I think that'd be a great move.
Yep.
Cody Bellinger, I think we see him go from Chicago. I think Marcus Stroman is going to be moved. I could see Marcus Stroman going to like a Baltimore to add another arm to that starting rotation. Verlander and Scherzer up there in New York, I'm not surprised. They're both upset. I mean, they're both upset. They were like, we were supposed to be a World Series contending team.
Yeah.
And they've been hurt most of the year, but they still aren't going to contend at all.
The Mets
unless
said they're
they
willing
get
to
Shohei
move.
Ohtani.
Once again, the Mets said they're willing to move anyone if the price is right. I think you have your definite buyers at the deadline. I think the Orioles are going to be buyers. Reds are going to be buyers. You're going to see teams not really making moves unless it's small ones like the Braves, who got Pierce Johnson from the Rockies. But you're not going to see them I don't think you're going to see them make a massive move. You're not going to see the Yankees make a massive move unless it's for Shohei.
Yeah. PJ Hernandez was just traded to L.A., back to L.A. from Boston, back to L.A.
Ooh, big whoop.
Yeah. So the other team that, and I thought about this. I was sitting there thinking about this. I follow the Mariners a lot. I follow the Cubbies a lot and the Rockies. Those are like my three main teams.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Rockies and Cubbies have been for a long time, my entire life. And then the Mariners more so lately because of my connections with the Mariners organization.
Yep.
I could see the Mariners going for Jonathan India. The Mariners have a struggle up the middle. Colton Wong has not been the answer. I didn't think Colton Wong was going to be the answer when they traded for him from the get-go. I could see him being moved. I could see them going for Jonathan India and sending some young pitching to
the Reds.
Cincinnati. The Mariners have young arms and AAA Tacoma that they can use.
But here's my question. If you're the Mariners, you're in third place. You're fighting for fourth in the AL West. Do you wait until the offseason instead of bringing in a rental to try and push?
I mean, the AL West right now is Houston and Texas just took a 2-game lead.
There's a difference in my mind. You look at any sport, you can think of hockey, the NBA. You can bring in a player at the deadline for a rental that can truly change your team around to push you to a championship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like you can say the same for baseball.
Mm-mm.
Like, obviously, you could bring in someone like Shohei, who's going to mash home runs, who's going to pitch, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But if you bring in a player like Jonathan India to think you're fixing your struggles up the middle to push you to a playoff,
I don't think Jonathan India would be really Jonathan India was the 2021 Rookie of the Year. He's still got years on his contract.
Exactly. But it's like, I think you don't see it in baseball. You're not going to go out and get a rental player like you see in the NHL, like you saw the New York Rangers with Vladimir Tarasenko, Patrick Kane.
You see it in the NBA all the time.
Expecting to get to the Stanley Cup final, you get knocked out in the second round. And now they're free agents. So you know what you just did? You traded away a lot of your young talent for two veterans who you think are going to push. I don't think it's something we're going to see in baseball. If we see a move
No.
here, it's going to be for veteran presence who's still got years on their contract and can help a team win for the years to come. We're not going to see any moves that are like a rental to try and push a team farther into the playoffs, especially not with pitching. Because when you get into those series, 5 games, 7 games, you're going to see a pitcher probably once, maybe twice in a series. And
I think definitely twice for some guys, especially
that's-
game 1 starters. You're going to see them game 1. You're going to see them game 7, no doubt. If you get to game 7,
but
you
then
could
again,
see them
it's like,
3 times even.
I doubt it. For what, 4 innings? You're not going to see.
Yeah, maybe
You're not
4
gonna
innings,
see
maybe to close
Verlander.
it.
You're not going to see Verlander in game 1.
No.
You're not going to see him in game 4, and you're not going to see him in game 7. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, the Red Sox did do it with Chris Sale. They went with Chris Sale game 1. Then, he kind of was there. Game 4, he threw a couple innings.
Game 7, he's exhausted.
In game 7, he came and closed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you could see it with Zach Gallen in Arizona, Spencer Strider in Atlanta. I don't know any young pitchers who could compete, though.
I think Atlanta's probably the best team, completely. I think they're the most complete team in baseball. I'm not saying they're the best team in baseball. You got not Atlanta. You got Tampa and you've got Baltimore right there with them. But Atlanta, I think, definitely is a team that can make a run and possibly win the whole dang thing.
I want to see a Texas-Baltimore AL championship.
Okay.
And I want to see a Cincinnati Atlanta NL championship. And honestly, I would love to see the young squads, Baltimore and Cincinnati, in the World Series.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possible thing. I definitely think it. And Texas is really good too right now. So obviously the big name at the deadline, there's so many things that could happen. The Yankees could go get him, but the Yankees are at the bottom of the AL East. They're a dumpster fire. I don't think there's any way, no shot they make the playoffs. Anthony Rizzo, he went 4 for 4 after changing to Taylor Swift. Tay is probably going to marry that man now because of that. But you know what? That's another conversation. But Shohei, I mean, where does Shohei get moved? If you're the LA Angels, you're the front office, you're the general manager, the owner, whoever's making this move, are you making a move on Shohei? Are you sending Shohei? And if you're sending Shohei, where to for what?
I've always kind of had like the Angels as one of my second, third teams. But I've always been a supporter of get Trout, get Ohtani out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Trout's career has been ruined in Los Angeles. He's been in the playoffs one time. They were eliminated first round. Ohtani has yet to experience the playoffs. They've been under 500 the last 3 years with Trout and Ohtani on the team. I think Shohei, it depends how the Angels play this next week. Mm-hmm. If they go 6-1, 5-2 this next week, I think you don't see them get moved because they are going to feel like they're going to make the playoffs, Mm-hmm. But I think if they start to go downhill, you're going to see Ohtani moved. And, I've seen the Giants. I've seen the Dodgers. I've seen the Orioles. I've seen the Rays. I've seen Toronto.
Yeah. What's one team? I don't think this kind of goes to the rental theory. But I did see something, and this I think would make this team an absolute contender, no hesitation, that could make this move, but they won't be able to re-sign him. Baltimore. I don't think it's a possibility, but if Baltimore wanted to win a World Series, if that's all that Baltimore's doing right now is ring chasing, you try it. Try to go get Shohei. That solves an arm problem for you and a bat problem all in one.
And you look at Baltimore's farm system, is they've been so bad the last few years that they've so much young talent in their farm system that you could get a haul for Ohtani. And you can also throw in a starter right now too.
Could you see Mike Trout moved at the deadline?
No, you're
And
not going to
they-
see him moved. You're not going to see Trout moved.
Because the thing you could do is if LA wasn't, they're not all right in the head. That's very clear.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of teams that can pay the Trout contract right now. But I also think Trout's to the point where it's like, dude, I just want to win and I want to be in the playoffs. He got to experience that playoff atmosphere with Team USA this past year in the WBC, that I think he would be willing to take a pay cut, a major pay cut, to be in the playoffs. So I could see that. The other thing
you're not going to see him moved at the deadline. Trout's hurt right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a history of injury. So you think the Angels, they're going to want to haul for Trout, but in all reality, I think there's center fielders or outfielders that are, can compete and are on the same field, if not better than Trout right now in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to get the same package you were going to get for Trout 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep. I think Mike Trout, you could move him and then keep Shohei, and then Shohei's a free agent. Shohei's gone. He's out of LA. But I think, Trout would be a surprise. But I also, if I'm the general manager of the Angels, I'm not counting that out. Like that's something that I would have in my mind.
It's not. No, Trout's going to be on LA's untouchable list. There's been no talk of it. No one's even considering it.
That's why I think I could see it.
Everyone knows the price is going to be way too steep for Trout. There's no way that he's getting moved at the deadline. He's going to, we might see a trade in the offseason for him, something like that. But you're going to see him stick out this season in LA, especially being hurt. No team's going to want to go get an injured player, just even though because of the name, because they know they can be good when they're healthy. They're hurt. They're not going to go get trade for an injured player.
Yep.
You're not going to see Trout moved. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not going to see him moved.
And Chris Bryant, he just landed on the 10-day IL with a thumb injury again. So I think, I'm a big Chris Bryant fan. A lot of people know that. KB is kind of my guy. It's just that signing by Colorado is not looking great right now in year 1 and 2 of having him.
That money should have been used elsewhere. I've been a big on the train for the Rockies. They need to go buy bats on 2 or 3 year cheap contracts. Develop bats. Wait, hold on. Buy bats and develop pitching.
Yeah. And they went and got pitching in the draft. I liked some of those picks that they took.
I did too.
Getting a lot of those guys.
But here's what happens, though. It's Coors Field. These guys have never pitched at elevation before. They're young. So you know what? We call them up. They get lit up for 5 or 6 games at Coors Field. We send them back down, and then we're right back to where we were. And it's just a constant cycle of that. We've had Freeland, who's been able to pitch. We've had Marquez, but he's hurt, who's been able to pitch at Coors Field.
Senzatella was hurt.
Gomber, but he's 8-8 with a 7 ERA. We're not Ryan Rollison. We thought he was the answer from Ole Miss a few years ago.
He's just been hurt.
He's been hurt. He hasn't been able to control his pitches at Coors Field. He just gets lit up. Coors Field's a hitter's ballpark. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But it's just the same cycle. So if the Rockies want to be able to compete and stay games, they have to go out and buy bats and then just try and develop their pitching. That's the only way it can go.
No doubt about that. I think we see a lot of the Rockies, that one thing they have is a lot of depth in the infield, outfield parts of their farm system. They've got to get some depth in that pitching. I think if you're Colorado, you've got enough young talent to spread around the infield and the outfield. And then you have that veteran presence in Rymack. You have that veteran presence in Chris Bryant. If you keep CJ Cron, you have CJ Cron.
Yeah.
If you keep Diaz, you have Elias Diaz as that veteran presence. You need to build a pitching. You need to probably have more pitchers in your farm system that you can pull up right away and send down than infielders. And right now they've got a lot of infielders. We've seen Coco Montez come up. We've seen Nolan Jones, obviously, Brenton Doyle.
Yeah.
Alan Trejo, Ezekiel Tovar. We've seen those guys be brought, Harold Castro. We've seen those guys come up, but we
But they
haven't
go
seen
back
a lot
down
of
within a couple weeks, you know.
yeah, and we need pitching to be either up or be able to just bring them up and send them down as we please from Albuquerque or even Hartford in that case of the double
But
A.
it's just Coors Field being such a hitters friendly ballpark. I just don't know why there just hasn't been an idea for the Rockies, you know, front office. You're like, let's go buy batters. You know, that's what we did with Chris Bryant, but we gave him 6 or 8 years, $180+ million.
Indeed.
And he's played less than 100 games in his Rockies career.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think the Rockies as a franchise is just
the Monforts know that all Rockies fans are just fans of just shitty baseball. Pardon my language.
No, it's true.
And there's nothing that's going to change about that. They know that Rockies fans can still sell 35,000 tickets a night for a home game because Rockies fans, they just want to go experience Coors Field and just the atmosphere of what it's like there.
Colorado, that's one thing about Colorado sports fans. Colorado sports fans are some of the most loyal fans there is. And you know what? You don't even you see that not just at the pro level, you see it at the college level. The Rockies could not win a single game all year. They could go 0-162, and there'd still be a sold crowd on a Saturday night or a Friday night.
Exactly.
The Broncos could go 0-17, sold out. The Nuggets could be awful, sold out. The Avalanche could be terrible, sold out. The University of Colorado was 1-11, sold out a lot of games last year. Prime, we all love that. Fort Collins, Colorado State, the same way. It's just Colorado sports fans are so loyal. There's, you've got Chicago, you've got a lot of other fan bases that are very loyal. Yeah, that are very loyal, but I think there's
Philadelphia fan bases.
Yep, Philadelphia.
No.
So, all right, Kyle, we're going to do a couple, I like to do these, rapid fire questions at the end of the podcast. We're going to hit those and we're going to get out of here, buddy. So
for sure.
We'll go ahead. We'll start with, who was your idol growing up?
Idol growing up, my grandpa for sure. Just super hard worker, helped raise the family up. He was always one taking me to practices, going to games, everything like that. So I just wanted to strive to be the same family man he was and just as dedicated to everything he was.
Dinner with any celebrity or athlete or anybody, who would it be and why?
Right now?
Right now.
Honestly, I'd have to say JJ Watt.
Yeah. I know you're a big JJ guy.
Just being a big Texans fan and just who he is as a person. Someone else I've kind of looked up, big community guy, big family guy. 100%, 110%, everything he does. So I definitely would have to say probably JJ Watt.
Gatorade or Powerade, and then your favorite color?
Gatorade, Icy Blue, or Glacier Freeze is what it's called.
Okay. Are you binging a show right now? And if so, which one? Or a show that you recommend to the people?
I just got finished binging season 3 of Love Island with my girlfriend.
Oh, okay. she got that man out here watching Love Island.
Switch that statement.
Oh, you got her watching? Oh, okay, Kyle.
Probably gonna start season 4 like tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, so Love Island people, check that out because that's what Kyle said to do.
That's what yeah.
Your favorite time of day?
Favorite time of day? Ooh, probably evening, like right as the sun's setting.
Okay, gotcha.
Especially kind of during the summer, it's cooler. It's still a little bright out. Just nice and relaxing for sure.
Is there like a cause? I'm a big Hilinski's Hope kind of foundation. That guy. Is there like a cause that you think is important that needs more like light shed on it?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't want to say not necessarily because obviously there's a bunch of causes.
Yeah.
For me, it's just kind of like the youth sports. And just I feel like a lot of kids anymore don't have the ability to play youth sports because of the cost for it. Always outgrowing equipment. And like for hockey, for example, like a hockey bag for a kid is like over $1,000 with all their equipment. And, they're going to outgrow it in 2 years. Travel fees, league fees. I just think like youth sports are just so expensive that it deters a lot of kids and families from playing them and getting involved in them. and that's hurting future generations.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, buddy. Any last words that you got?
No, it's just been a pleasure. Definitely talking, chit chatting, catching up, giving our takes on everything. Definitely look forward to doing it again, whether it's a vlog, maybe a vlog in the future.
Yeah, there might be a little something.
But no, it's just been a blast talking for sure, talking sports. We both love talking sports.
Yeah, and guys, expect to see this more with Kyle. I try to keep the podcast really relatively around an athlete's life and what, an athlete's, the insight of other athletes' lives. But, I love bringing Kyle on and talking sports and kind of getting an insight of his life too. I mean, Kyle makes a lot of big moves in terms of what his career is going to be, and Kyle and I have very similar career goals. Obviously, I'm a little bit more on the broadcasting and that side of things, and Kyle's a little bit more on the business sides of things. But I love bringing him on and talking sports. We could talk sports for hours.
Hey,
but we only have such limited time.
I'm an athlete.
Oh, he is. No, that's facts.
Beer league softball.
Beer league softball. That's an athlete. If you ask me, that is an athlete. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to. Yeah, there you go. I wasn't trying to, say, hey, Kyle's not an athlete. I'm just saying, like, current student athletes, I like to take inside of them.
Yeah.
But, Kyle, I appreciate it, buddy. To all you viewers and watchers, listeners, however you get this podcast, I appreciate you all. And we'll see y'all next time on Hammer Time.
Been a pleasure, y'all.
See ya.